Hello there, and welcome to the Sleep Journal. Tonight, we're going to talk about the night sky. Not the science of distant galaxies, not the physics of black holes. Something closer to home. The strange lights people see overhead. Right now, more people than ever are looking up. Governments around the world have been releasing old files. Files about unusual lights in the sky. Witnesses, photographs, grainy videos from military pilots. The public conversation has been loud, full of questions, full of speculation. But tonight, we are going to set all of that aside. We are not here to debate anything. We are here for something quieter. A slow walk beneath a sky that has always been strange, long before any files were ever opened, long before anyone had a name for what they saw. Human beings have looked up at night and wondered. A flicker of light, a moving point that should not move. A soft glow with no clear source. Most of these moments have simple explanations. Some do not, and never will. Tonight, we are going to explore both. Gently, without urgency, without needing any final answer. Just curiosity and calm, and the dark, quiet sky above you. Before we begin, if evenings like this help you drift off, feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a gentle comment below. It helps other tired minds find their way here. But for now, there is nothing you need to do. Let your jaw unclench. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breathing slow down completely. Imagine you are lying on your back, somewhere far from any city. The air is cool. The ground is soft beneath you. And above you, the entire sky is open. Let us begin. For most of human history, the night sky was the only screen anyone had. No streetlights, no glowing windows, just stars, and whatever else happened to drift across them. People built entire mythologies around a single strange light. A comet, a falling star, a slow-moving point that seemed to pause, then continue. Some of those ancient stories were wrong about the cause, but they were rarely wrong about the feeling. Wonder, a small chill down the spine. The sense that the sky held more than anyone could fully explain. That feeling has not changed much, even now, with satellites and telescopes and declassified government reports. We still look up. We still wonder. And tonight, that shared human habit is exactly where we are going to rest. Consider how strange it is that this habit has survived so long. Cities grew brighter. Technology advanced rapidly. Many ancient beliefs faded away completely. But the simple act of looking upward never stopped. Children still point at the sky and ask questions. Adults still pause during a clear night and glance up without thinking. Something about the dark, open sky pulls at us gently. It asks nothing of us. It offers no deadline and no demand. It simply waits there, patiently, for anyone willing to notice it. Tonight, you are one of those people. Not searching for answers, not trying to solve any mystery, just resting, quietly, beneath something vast and old. Something that has watched over every single night in human history, long before written language, long before science, long before anyone had a word for star, or planet, or satellite. The sky was simply there, dark and patient, exactly as it is tonight. Think about how many different eyes have looked at these same stars. Hunters, resting after a long day, glancing up before sleep. Sailors, using these same points of light to find their way home. Soldiers, far from their families, finding a strange comfort in familiar constellations overhead. Poets, searching for words to describe something that always felt larger than language. Scientists, patiently recording tiny changes, building careful theories over many careful years. Each of them saw a slightly different sky, shaped by their own worries and hopes. But it was always the same physical sky, unchanged in its basic nature. The same scattered light, the same quiet darkness, the same slow, patient rotation. Tonight, you join that same long, quiet tradition, not as a scientist or a sailor or a soldier. Simply as a tired person, ready to rest, beneath a sky that asks nothing of you. Let us start with the most common mysterious light of all, a meteor. People often describe seeing a bright streak, moving fast, then vanishing. It looks alien. It looks deliberate. In reality, it is a tiny piece of rock or dust. Most meteors come from debris left behind by comets. As a comet orbits the sun, it sheds material along its path. Earth passes through these trails every year on a predictable schedule. When that happens, we get a meteor shower. The particles are often no larger than a grain of sand. They hit our atmosphere at incredible speed, sometimes over 100,000 miles per hour. Friction with the air heats them instantly. They glow brightly for less than a second. Then they burn away completely. Almost none of them ever reach the ground. What we see is not the rock itself. We see the glowing column of superheated air around it. That is why the light can look strange, colorful, or oddly shaped. The specific color often depends on the chemical makeup of the particle. Sodium tends to produce a soft yellow glow. Magnesium can create a pale green streak. Iron sometimes appears more orange or yellow overall. Larger meteors, called fireballs, burn brighter and longer. Occasionally, a very large piece of debris survives the fall. This is called a meteorite. Every single day, tons of this material enter our atmosphere. Almost all of it burns up unnoticed, especially during daylight. At night, especially during a known meteor shower, the show becomes visible. Some ancient cultures believed these streaks were messages. Others thought they marked the death of someone important. Today, we know the truth is simpler, but no less beautiful. It is simply the universe brushing gently against our atmosphere. A quiet collision, repeated constantly, mostly unseen. Every year, certain meteor showers arrive with remarkable reliability. The Perseids appear each August, tied to the comet Swift-Tuttle. The Geminids arrive every December, connected to an unusual object called Phaethon. Astronomers have tracked these cycles for well over a century. They can predict, almost to the hour, when a shower will peak. This predictability makes meteor showers especially calming to think about. Nothing sudden. Nothing random, simply a quiet, repeating rhythm written into the orbit of our entire planet. Each year, Earth passes through the same trail of ancient debris. Each year, the same gentle streaks of light appear overhead. Long before anyone understood comets, or orbits, or debris trails, people still noticed the pattern. Certain nights, year after year, seemed unusually rich with falling stars. They built calendars around it. They planned festivals to coincide with it. Today, we understand the mechanism precisely, but the wonder has not faded at all. If anything, understanding the cause deepens the quiet beauty of the moment, a tiny fragment of ancient ice and rock, drifting for thousands of years, finally meeting our atmosphere, for one brief, glowing instant, then gone completely, leaving nothing behind but a memory, and perhaps a wish. Some meteor showers produce only a handful of visible streaks each hour. Others, during particularly active years, can produce dozens or even more. The Leonids, tied to a comet called Tempel-Tuttle, occasionally produce dramatic outbursts, roughly every 33 years. Observers have reported true meteor storms, thousands of streaks per hour, filling the sky with constant, quiet motion. Historical records describe entire communities gathering outside to witness these rare events. Some observers, unfamiliar with the cause, feared the sky itself was falling apart. Astronomers now understand exactly why these outbursts occur so predictably. Dense clumps of debris, left behind during specific past orbits of the comet. Earth occasionally passes directly through one of these denser clumps, producing, for a few brief hours, an unusually spectacular display. Outside of these rare events, ordinary meteor showers remain gentle and steady, a slow, occasional streak, appearing every few minutes, rather than constantly. Perfect for quiet, patient watching, rather than any kind of urgent spectacle. Here is a mystery that is almost entirely modern. A slow, steady line of lights, moving together across the sky. In recent years, thousands of people have reported this exact sight. Some assumed it was a formation of strange aircraft. Others thought it looked almost otherworldly. The real explanation is simpler, though still remarkable. It is a satellite train. Companies now launch large groups of small satellites together. They deploy in a tight line, still close to each other in orbit. For the first few nights after launch, they remain visibly clustered. Sunlight reflects off their flat solar panels. From the ground, this creates a chain of moving points, gliding silently, evenly spaced, crossing the sky in minutes. Because they travel in low orbit, they move quickly overhead. Unlike an airplane, they make no sound at all. Unlike a star, they clearly shift position as you watch. This combination feels unfamiliar to most observers. Even experienced stargazers can be startled the first time they see it. Over the following weeks, the satellites slowly spread apart. Each one moves to its own individual orbital position. Eventually, the train effect disappears entirely. What began as a single strange formation becomes an invisible, scattered network, quietly circling the planet, doing ordinary work, broadcasting internet signals, supporting weather forecasts, assisting global communication systems. There is something oddly moving about this. What first appears eerie or unexplained often turns out to be deeply practical. Not mysterious in origin, only mysterious in appearance. A brief moment of wonder, created entirely by human engineering, drifting overhead in careful, quiet formation. The first time such a train appeared, in the spring of 2019, it made international news. Thousands of people filmed it, unsure exactly what they were seeing. Some astronomers themselves were initially startled by the sight. Even experts, familiar with satellites, had never seen so many launched together at once. Since then, the phenomenon has become far more common. Multiple companies now launch similar constellations regularly. Skywatchers have slowly grown accustomed to spotting them. Apps now exist specifically to predict when a visible train will pass overhead. What was once alarming has become, for some, a small evening ritual. Stepping outside, phone in hand, waiting for a line of lights to appear. Astronomers have expressed mixed feelings about this new addition to the sky. Some worry about the impact on scientific observation and research. Others simply appreciate it as a strange modern addition to an ancient view. Either way, it remains a useful reminder. The sky above us is not frozen in time. It continues changing, shaped now by human hands as much as by nature. Even something as old and constant as the night sky can hold new surprises. Astronomers have also raised thoughtful concerns about these growing satellite networks. Long exposure photographs, used for serious scientific research, can be disrupted by bright trails. Observatories around the world have adjusted their scheduling to work around known satellite passes. Engineers, in response, have experimented with darker coatings to reduce reflected sunlight. This ongoing conversation reflects a genuinely new kind of balance between the benefits of global communication and the preservation of a truly dark sky. It is a modern problem, entirely unknown to any previous generation of stargazers, and yet it connects to a very old, familiar question. How do we share this open, ancient view of the universe responsibly? Even now, with thousands of satellites already in orbit, that question remains unresolved. Much like the sky itself, it continues, patiently, waiting for careful, ongoing attention. Long before satellite trains existed, there was another famous sky mystery. Sudden, brilliant flashes of light, appearing without warning. For years, these flashes puzzled casual observers around the world. They came to be known as satellite flares. Certain older satellites had large, flat, reflective antennas. Under specific conditions, sunlight would strike these surfaces directly. For a brief moment, the reflected light would align perfectly with an observer's location. The result was a sudden, brief burst of brightness, sometimes rivaling the brightness of Venus itself. Just as quickly as it appeared, it would fade away. Witnesses often described it as a light turning on, then off. Some assumed they had seen something classified, something experimental, something deliberately hidden from the public. In truth, it was simply geometry and sunlight, a fleeting, accidental alignment repeated by chance. Astronomers eventually learned to predict these flashes with real precision. Knowing the satellite's orbit, they could calculate the exact time and location. Amateur skywatchers began gathering specifically to observe them. What once seemed alarming became something people intentionally sought out. As satellite technology changed, that particular type of flare became rarer. Many older satellites reached the end of their working life. Newer designs use different materials, less prone to that same sharp glint. Even so, the pattern remains a useful lesson. A strange light does not always signal something unknown. Sometimes it simply reflects something ordinary, seen from an unusual angle. The sky is full of such quiet coincidences, waiting patiently for the right observer, in the right place, at the right moment. Amateur astronomy clubs once organized entire evenings around these predictable flashes. Small groups would gather in a dark field, checking their watches carefully. At the predicted second, a bright flash would appear precisely on schedule. Cheers would follow, quiet and delighted, every single time. There was something deeply satisfying about that kind of shared anticipation, knowing exactly when something strange and beautiful would occur, and watching it happen, together, exactly as calculated. This same spirit continues today, even as the specific satellites have changed. Modern skywatchers still track predictable events with quiet enthusiasm. The International Space Station, for example, can be seen many nights. It appears as a steady, bright point, gliding smoothly across the sky. Unlike a star, it moves noticeably, taking several minutes to cross overhead. Unlike an airplane, it makes no sound and shows no blinking lights. For anyone unfamiliar with its schedule, it can look genuinely mysterious. For those who know to expect it, it becomes something calming and familiar. A quiet, reliable visitor, orbiting far above, carrying astronauts safely through the dark. Space agencies now publish detailed schedules for spotting the station from almost any location. Websites and mobile apps calculate the exact time it will pass overhead. Many families make a small tradition of stepping outside together to watch it. Children often wave at it, half joking, half genuinely delighted by the idea. Somewhere up there, real people are looking back down at the same Earth. It remains one of the few objects in the sky built entirely by human hands, visible without any telescope, simply by knowing when and where to look. That accessibility makes it especially meaningful for people just beginning to explore astronomy. A first, easy success before moving on to fainter, more distant objects. A reminder that the night sky is not only ancient and untouchable, some of it, quite literally, contains people working, sleeping, and living right now above us. Astronauts aboard the station describe the view of Earth as genuinely life-changing. Many report a shift in perspective after seeing our entire planet from that distance. Borders disappear entirely from that height, replaced by oceans, clouds, and glowing city lights. Some call this shift the overview effect, a quiet, emotional response to seeing Earth whole. It is a strange thought tonight that somewhere above you, someone may be feeling exactly that, looking down at the same planet you are resting on, with fresh, humbled eyes. Two perspectives, entirely different, yet connected by the very same quiet, orbiting point of light. Some lights in the sky come not from above, but from within our own atmosphere. High above thunderstorms, an entirely different kind of light can occur. Scientists call them transient luminous events. For a long time, pilots reported these strange flashes, brief red or blue glows above active storm clouds. For years, many scientists were skeptical these reports were accurate. Cameras eventually confirmed what pilots had described for decades. One type is called a red sprite. It appears as a brief reddish burst, shaped almost like a jellyfish. It occurs high above a thunderstorm, triggered by intense lightning below. Another type is called a blue jet. It shoots upward from the storm in a narrow cone of blue light. A third, even rarer type is called an elf. It appears as a fast, expanding ring, glowing briefly at extreme altitude. These events last only a fraction of a second. They are difficult to see with the naked eye. High-speed cameras were needed to properly document them. Scientists believe they are caused by powerful electrical discharges, energy from a lightning strike reaching unusually high into the atmosphere. For most of human history, these lights went almost entirely unnoticed. They occur far above the clouds, invisible from the ground during a storm. Only pilots, flying above the weather, occasionally caught a glimpse. It is a strange thought. An entire layer of quiet, flickering light, existing directly above violent storms, for as long as thunderstorms have existed on Earth, utterly hidden from almost everyone. Until modern cameras finally revealed it. Scientists first captured clear video of a sprite by accident in 1989. A low-light camera, testing unrelated equipment, happened to catch one on film. That single, accidental recording changed the entire field. Researchers realized pilots had been telling the truth all along. Since then, specialized cameras have documented thousands of these fleeting events. Some are tracked by aircraft flying specifically to observe storms from above. Others are caught by cameras mounted on the International Space Station itself. From that vantage point, astronauts have photographed sprites directly, looking down at storms. Each image reveals a brief, delicate structure, glowing for only a few milliseconds. Scientists continue studying exactly how these events form and what they reveal. Some believe they may help us understand lightning itself more completely. Others study them simply because they remain strange and beautiful and rare. It is worth remembering how long these lights existed before we noticed them. Thunderstorms have raged across Earth for hundreds of millions of years. This quiet, flickering light above them likely existed the entire time, utterly invisible to any observer, until the right camera finally looked up at exactly the right moment. Scientists have since identified several other related phenomena, each with its own name. Gigantic jets, far larger than ordinary blue jets, occasionally reach even higher into the atmosphere. Some have been measured stretching nearly 50 miles above the storm below. Researchers continue debating exactly how these massive discharges form and behave. Specialized aircraft, and even satellites, now watch specifically for these events, building a slowly growing catalog of an entire hidden layer of atmospheric activity. It is humbling to consider how much remains undiscovered, even in our own atmosphere. Not distant galaxies or exoplanets, but the sky directly above active storms on Earth. A reminder that mystery does not always require traveling to distant, unreachable places. Sometimes, it simply requires looking more carefully at what has always been right here. You are lying very still now. The day has grown distant. The thoughts that pressed close earlier have begun to soften. Your breathing has found its own pace, slow, easy, unhurried. And as you rest here, imagine you are lying outside, far from any city. The air is cool against your skin. The ground beneath you feels soft and steady. Above you, the sky stretches out completely in every direction. There is no ceiling here, no walls, just darkness and stars and quiet open space. A single point of light drifts slowly across your view. It might be a satellite. It might simply be a star, seeming to move as your eyes grow tired. It does not matter which. There is nothing here that requires an answer tonight. You are simply watching, the way people have always watched, without needing to solve anything, without needing to explain everything you see. Somewhere far above you, meteors are burning quietly in the upper atmosphere. Somewhere else, a storm may be sending faint light upward into space, unseen by anyone below. And somewhere, high above even that, satellites drift in their slow, silent orbits, reflecting sunlight in ways too subtle for you to notice tonight. None of this needs your attention right now. It simply continues, exactly as it always has, whether you are watching or not. Let your body sink deeper into the ground beneath you. Let your shoulders soften completely. Let your breathing slow even further. You do not need to identify every light. You do not need to understand every shadow. You only need to rest here, beneath the same enormous, patient sky that has watched over every human being who ever lived. Notice how little effort this moment requires from you. You are not searching the sky for anything specific. You are not trying to catch a particular light before it disappears. You are simply lying still, letting the sky exist above you, exactly as it is. There is no task here, no goal, no need to identify a single thing you see. Let your eyes soften, even if they are already closed. Let your chest rise and fall gently, without you needing to guide it. Somewhere out there, real mysteries remain unresolved, and that is perfectly fine. You do not need to solve them tonight, or any night. You only need to rest, comfortably, beneath a sky far larger than any question it holds. Let your hands grow heavy. Let your legs sink deeper into the bed beneath you. The same patient sky that watched ancient sailors find their way home now watches over you. It asks nothing of you in return. It only offers its quiet, endless presence, night after night, without fail. Feel the weight of your own body now, resting completely against the surface beneath you. There is no need to hold any tension anywhere at all. Let your forehead relax completely, smoothing out any small, unnoticed lines. Let your jaw drop slightly open, releasing whatever tightness remained there. Imagine once more that open sky stretching endlessly above you, not asking anything, not requiring anything, simply existing, vast and quiet, exactly the way it always has. You are safe here, resting beneath it, with nothing left to accomplish tonight. The stars will still be there tomorrow, patient as always, waiting without complaint. For now, there is only this stillness, this softness, this slow and steady breath. Few sights in the sky feel as mysterious as the aurora. Shifting curtains of green, pink, and violet light, dancing slowly across the darkness, sometimes for hours at a time. Ancient cultures had many explanations for this phenomenon. Spirits, omens, messages from ancestors passing overhead. The real explanation involves our sun and our planet's own magnetic field. The sun constantly releases a stream of charged particles. Scientists call this the solar wind. Most of it is deflected safely around Earth by our magnetic field. But near the poles, some particles slip through, following magnetic field lines downward. As they strike our atmosphere, they collide with oxygen and nitrogen. These collisions release energy in the form of light. Oxygen tends to produce green or reddish glows. Nitrogen often creates blue or purplish tones. The exact colors depend on altitude and which gas is struck. During periods of strong solar activity, the effect intensifies. Auroras can appear further from the poles than usual. Occasionally, they become visible even at unusually low latitudes. For centuries, sudden appearances like this puzzled entire communities. A quiet countryside sky, suddenly filled with moving color. It is easy to understand why people once linked it to something supernatural. The truth is almost as remarkable. Particles from our own star, traveling millions of miles through space, colliding gently with our atmosphere, and turning that collision into light. A quiet, glowing reminder that Earth is not truly isolated. We are constantly, gently touched by the sun, even in the middle of the night. Scientists monitor solar activity constantly, tracking storms on the sun's surface. When a particularly strong eruption occurs, researchers can often predict an aurora days in advance. Space weather forecasters now issue alerts, similar to ordinary weather warnings. Skywatchers in far northern regions plan entire trips around these forecasts, traveling specifically to remote, dark locations, hoping for a clear, active night. When conditions align perfectly, the results can be extraordinary. Curtains of light rippling slowly, shifting shape every few seconds. Some describe the movement as similar to fabric, blown gently by an unseen wind. Others compare it to slow, silent flames, dancing quietly across the sky. For centuries, explorers traveling to polar regions wrote about this sight with awe. Many described a profound, almost religious stillness during the display. Modern scientists understand the physics completely, yet the emotional impact remains unchanged. Standing beneath an active aurora still feels, to most people, deeply moving. A visible, physical connection between our quiet planet and the distant, violent sun, playing out silently, high above the ordinary business of daily human life. Scientists have also discovered auroras exist on other planets throughout our solar system. Jupiter, with its enormous magnetic field, produces auroras far more powerful than Earth's own. Saturn displays similar glowing rings near its poles, captured in detail by passing spacecraft. Even distant, icy worlds far beyond Neptune may host faint auroral activity of their own. This tells us something quietly reassuring about the universe as a whole. Wherever a planet has both an atmosphere and a magnetic field, this kind of light can occur. It is not a strange, isolated event, unique only to our small planet. It is simply physics, repeating itself gently, wherever the right conditions happen to align. Earth's own aurora, then, is not an anomaly, but part of a much larger pattern. One small, glowing example of something happening quietly throughout our entire solar system. There is another rare light, seen only under very specific conditions. Glowing clouds, visible deep into the night, long after sunset. Scientists call them noctilucent clouds, meaning night-shining clouds. They form incredibly high in the atmosphere, far higher than ordinary clouds ever reach. At that altitude, tiny ice crystals gather around specks of dust. Some of that dust may even come from meteors burning up nearby. Because they sit so high, these clouds catch sunlight long after the ground has gone dark. The sun has already set from your perspective, but from that extreme altitude, sunlight still reaches the clouds directly. This creates a soft, silvery blue glow against the darkening sky. For a long time, these clouds were considered extremely rare. They were first widely documented in the late 19th century. Some researchers even linked their appearance to a specific volcanic eruption. In recent decades, noctilucent clouds have been observed more frequently. Scientists continue studying why this shift might be occurring. Some suspect changes in atmospheric temperature and moisture play a role. Others point to increased rocket launches, adding fine particles to the upper atmosphere. Whatever the exact cause, the sight remains genuinely beautiful, a faint glowing ripple, suspended far above an already darkened world. Visible mainly during specific seasons, and mainly at higher latitudes. For anyone who catches a glimpse, it can feel like witnessing something secret. A quiet, delicate light existing at the very edge of our atmosphere, patiently reflecting a sun that has already disappeared from view. Modern satellites now track noctilucent clouds from space, adding to ground observations. Scientists have noticed they sometimes appear at slightly lower latitudes than in past decades. This has sparked ongoing research into changes in the upper atmosphere. Some studies connect their spread to increased water vapor at extreme altitude. Others study the role of tiny particles, including rocket exhaust and meteor smoke. The research remains active and genuinely open even today. For casual observers, none of that complexity matters very much. What matters is the experience itself. Standing outside on a clear summer evening, well after sunset, noticing a faint silvery ripple glowing softly near the northern horizon. It looks almost unreal, like a photograph left slightly overexposed. Many people who see it for the first time assume something is wrong with their eyes. Once identified, it becomes something people actively watch for, season after season. A quiet, reliable treat, appearing only during a narrow window each year. Usually in early summer, at higher latitudes, under very specific conditions. A delicate, glowing signature, written by ice crystals, far above an already sleeping world. Citizen scientists have become genuinely important contributors to this particular field of research. Ordinary observers, in many countries, submit photographs through dedicated tracking websites and apps. Researchers use this crowdsourced data to map exactly where and when the clouds appear. This collaboration between professional scientists and everyday sky watchers remains fairly unusual in astronomy. Few other atmospheric phenomena rely so heavily on public participation for gathering data. It reflects something meaningful about this particular mystery. It exists close enough to home that anyone, with patience, can contribute directly. No expensive telescope required, no specialized training necessary beyond careful, consistent observation. Just a clear evening, a bit of knowledge about where to look, and genuine curiosity. Sometimes, the mysterious light in the sky is not so mysterious at all. It is simply a planet. Venus, in particular, causes an enormous number of reports. It is the brightest object in our night sky, aside from the moon. Because of its brightness, Venus is often mistaken for something else entirely. It can appear low on the horizon, shining steadily. To someone unfamiliar with the night sky, this can look strange, especially when seen through moving air near the horizon. Atmospheric turbulence can make it seem to shimmer or change color. Some observers describe it pulsing between red, blue, and white. This is simply light bending through layers of unsettled air. The planet itself is not doing anything unusual at all. Jupiter causes similar confusion, though it shines somewhat less brightly. On a clear night, it can appear as a steady, brilliant point, unmoving, patient, easily mistaken for something artificial. Mars, with its reddish tint, has inspired centuries of speculation. Ancient astronomers charted its odd, looping path across the sky. That looping motion, now fully explained by orbital mechanics, once seemed deeply strange. It is worth remembering how much confusion simple planets have caused. Long before satellites, or aircraft, or modern government files, the sky itself, filled with ordinary planets, was mysterious enough. Bright, silent, unmoving points of light, sitting patiently in the dark, waiting for someone below to notice, and wonder, and eventually understand. Historical records are full of confused reports involving simple planets. Sailors sometimes mistook Venus for a lantern on a distant, unseen ship. Farmers occasionally reported a bright, unmoving light hovering above their fields. Investigators, arriving later, often found nothing more than an ordinary planet, low on the horizon. This pattern repeats constantly, across countries and across centuries. It is not a sign of poor observation. It simply reflects how unfamiliar most people are with the ordinary night sky. Few people spend enough time outside, after dark, to recognize these patterns easily. Astronomers, by contrast, find this kind of confusion oddly endearing. It reflects genuine curiosity, rather than carelessness. Someone noticed something bright and unusual, and cared enough to investigate. That instinct, more than the specific mistake, is worth appreciating. Even simple, well-understood objects can still spark real wonder. A planet, silently reflecting sunlight from millions of miles away, bright enough to be mistaken for something far stranger. Simply because it is unfamiliar, Venus has been mistaken for something unusual so often. Astronomers have a nickname for it. Some jokingly call it the leading cause of reported unidentified flying objects. Its brightness genuinely surprises people who rarely take the time to study the sky carefully. On certain nights, positioned just right after sunset, it can seem startlingly close and vivid. First-time observers sometimes describe it as impossibly bright, almost artificial in appearance. Experienced astronomers simply smile, recognizing an old, familiar story repeating itself once again. This gentle, recurring confusion is, in its own way, rather comforting. It means people are still looking upward, still noticing, still curious about what they see. Even a simple planet, fully explained centuries ago, can still spark that same old feeling. A brief flicker of wonder, followed eventually by a calm, satisfying explanation. Saturn, though fainter than Jupiter, has its own quiet history of confusion. Its rings, visible only through a telescope, remained a genuine mystery for centuries. Early observers with weak instruments sometimes described strange, uneven shapes around the planet. It took better lenses and more patient observation to finally understand what those shapes truly were. Even Mercury, often overlooked, occasionally surprises casual observers near sunrise or sunset, appearing briefly, low on the horizon, before quickly disappearing into daylight or darkness again. Each planet, in its own way, has contributed to this long history of sky confusion, not through anything mysterious about the planets themselves, simply through the natural gap between what we see and what we immediately understand. Clouds, too, can create shapes that startle the unprepared eye. One particular type deserves special mention: the lenticular cloud. These clouds form near mountains, where air is forced upward and over a peak. As that air rises and cools, moisture condenses into a smooth lens-shaped cloud. Because of the way air flows around a mountain, the cloud often stays still. It can hover in nearly the same spot for hours. Unlike ordinary clouds, it does not seem to drift with the wind at all. Its edges are often remarkably smooth and rounded. From certain angles, it resembles a classic, saucer-shaped disk. It is easy to understand why this shape has caused confusion for decades, especially when lit dramatically by a low, setting sun. The cloud can glow orange, pink, or golden along its edges, sitting silently above a mountain ridge, seemingly unmoving. For pilots flying near mountain ranges, these clouds carry a different kind of significance. They often indicate strong, invisible turbulence in the air nearby. So while they may look peaceful from a distance, they demand real caution up close. Meteorologists have studied lenticular clouds extensively over many decades. Their formation is now well understood, tied closely to airflow and elevation. And yet, despite that understanding, the visual effect remains striking. A smooth, glowing disk, resting motionless in the sky, a perfect natural illusion, built entirely from wind, moisture, and mountain air. Certain mountain ranges are especially known for producing these clouds regularly. The Sierra Nevada in California often creates dramatic examples during specific wind patterns. Mount Rainier in Washington frequently develops similar, cap-like formations. Local residents in these regions often grow familiar with the sight over time. Visitors, seeing it for the first time, are sometimes genuinely startled. Photographs of particularly dramatic lenticular clouds have circulated widely online for years, occasionally sparking brief waves of speculation before meteorologists offer a simple explanation. Pilots have long used these clouds as a practical warning sign. A smooth, stacked lenticular formation often indicates strong mountain wave turbulence nearby. Small aircraft are generally advised to avoid flying too close to these formations. Glider pilots, interestingly, sometimes seek them out deliberately. The same strong currents that shape the cloud can carry a glider to remarkable heights. It is a strange contradiction, something that looks perfectly calm and still from a distance, yet hides some of the most powerful, invisible air currents found anywhere in the sky. Photographers travel specifically to certain mountain regions hoping to capture these formations. A particularly dramatic lenticular cloud, lit by a colorful sunset, can look almost painted. Some images have gathered enormous attention online, admired purely for their strange geometric beauty. Meteorologists often use these moments to gently explain the underlying atmospheric science involved, turning a viral photograph into a small, accessible lesson about wind and moisture. This pattern repeats often throughout the story of the night sky. Something strange captures public attention first, purely through appearance and wonder. Only afterward does the explanation quietly follow, filling in the remaining curiosity. There is a comforting rhythm to that sequence. Wonder first, understanding second, and neither one ever fully replacing the other. Other cloud formations occasionally cause similar confusion, though less dramatically than lenticular clouds. Mammatus clouds, with their strange pouch-like undersides, can look genuinely unsettling before a storm. Roll clouds, long and tube-shaped, occasionally roll steadily along an approaching weather front. Each of these formations has a clear, well-documented explanation rooted in basic atmospheric science. And yet, each one, seen for the first time, can still genuinely surprise even experienced observers. The sky, it seems, will always find new ways to look unfamiliar, even after centuries of careful, patient study by meteorologists around the world. Long before any of these explanations existed, people still looked up, and most of what they saw, they explained the only way they could: through story, through myth, through careful, patient observation, passed down across many generations. Ancient sailors used the position of stars to navigate entire oceans. Ancient farmers used the timing of certain stars to plan their harvests. a strange light was rarely just ignored. It was recorded, discussed, and woven into the fabric of daily life. In many cultures, comets were seen as omens, arriving before major events. In others, meteor showers were viewed as blessings or warnings, depending on timing. None of these early explanations used the physics we understand today, but they shared something important with modern science: careful attention, a refusal to simply look away. Long before telescopes, people built structures specifically aligned with the sky. Some ancient monuments tracked the solstices with remarkable precision, built by careful observation, repeated patiently across many years. This tells us something enduring about human nature. We do not simply notice the sky. We study it. We return to it, night after night, gathering small pieces of understanding. Modern astronomers continue this same tradition, using far more advanced tools: telescopes, satellites, global networks of automated cameras, scanning the sky constantly. But the underlying impulse remains exactly the same. Look up. Notice something unusual. Try, patiently, to understand it. That simple habit connects every generation of humans who have ever lived beneath this same sky. Consider the astronomers of ancient Babylon, recording eclipses on clay tablets. Consider Polynesian navigators, crossing vast oceans guided only by stars and swells. Consider medieval scholars, carefully mapping the slow movement of planets across the sky. None of them had our instruments. None of them had our understanding of physics. And yet, each of them contributed something real to human knowledge. Small observations, recorded patiently, sometimes over an entire lifetime, passed down carefully to the next generation, who added their own small pieces. This slow accumulation of careful watching eventually became modern astronomy. It did not arrive all at once. It grew gradually, one patient observer at a time. There is something worth remembering in that pattern tonight. Understanding does not require haste. It only requires attention, returned to again and again, night after night. The sky rewards exactly that kind of patience, and nothing more urgent than that. Tonight, you do not need to record anything, or calculate anything at all. You only need to notice, gently, the same way every generation before you once did. Think about the enormous stone circles built by ancient peoples across the world. Stonehenge, in England, carefully aligns with the sunrise on the summer solstice. Similar alignments appear in ancient structures across Egypt, Mexico, and Cambodia, built by peoples separated by oceans and thousands of years of history. And yet, all of them turned their attention to the same careful task: watching the sky patiently and recording its slow, reliable patterns over many years. None of them needed modern telescopes to accomplish something genuinely remarkable. They needed only patience, careful record-keeping, and a willingness to keep watching. That same simple formula still describes modern astronomy today at its core. Patient observation, repeated consistently, slowly revealing the quiet rules the universe follows. There is a kind of humility built into this long tradition of sky watching. No single observer, in any single generation, ever saw the whole picture alone. Each person contributed a small, careful piece, then passed it forward to someone else. Modern astronomers still work the same way, sharing data across countries and generations, building slowly, together, toward an understanding no one person could ever reach entirely alone. That spirit of shared, patient contribution feels worth carrying with you tonight, even in rest. Even with everything modern science has explained, some sightings remain unresolved. Government reports, including recent ones, acknowledge this openly. A small percentage of reported sightings do not match any known explanation. Not every case fits neatly into meteors, satellites, or unusual clouds. Officials are often careful to say this does not confirm anything extraordinary. It simply means the available data is incomplete. Radar limitations, poor lighting conditions, a witness's memory, shaped by stress or surprise. Any of these can leave a case technically unexplained, without pointing to anything unusual at all. Scientists generally approach these cases with patient caution. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, carefully and thoroughly gathered. Until that evidence exists, the most honest answer is simply, we do not yet know. That answer can feel unsatisfying to some people, but it is also, in its own way, a kind of comfort. It means the sky still holds real, unresolved questions. It means human curiosity has not yet run out of things to explore. Rather than fear in that uncertainty, there is room for quiet wonder instead. A note of genuine mystery, sitting gently alongside everything we do understand. Not threatening, not urgent, simply unfinished, the way any honest scientific inquiry eventually becomes. Tonight, we do not need to resolve any of it. We are not trying to close every open question in the sky. We are only trying to rest beneath it, comfortable with both the known and the not yet known together. Recent government reports have been fairly consistent on this particular point. The vast majority of reported sightings do eventually receive a reasonable explanation. Weather balloons, drones, distant aircraft, seen under unusual lighting or atmospheric conditions. Careful analysis, given enough time and data, resolves most cases fairly clearly. A small percentage remain genuinely puzzling, even after thorough investigation. Officials are typically careful not to overstate what this small percentage actually means. It does not confirm anything about alien visitors or secret technology. It simply reflects the ordinary limits of available evidence and analysis. Every field of science includes some fraction of unresolved cases. Medicine, geology, and even astronomy itself all contain open questions. This is not a weakness in these fields. It is simply an honest acknowledgement of the limits of current knowledge. The night sky, in that sense, is no different from any other serious subject. Mostly understood, patiently explained, piece by piece, over many years, with a small, honest margin left open for whatever comes next. Some scientists have proposed new tools specifically designed to study these remaining cases more carefully. Better cameras, spread across wider areas, capable of tracking objects from multiple angles at once. Improved radar systems, designed to filter out common sources of confusion more effectively. International cooperation between different country space and defense agencies, sharing relevant data more openly. Progress in this area tends to be slow, careful, and heavily reviewed at every stage. This mirrors, in a way, the broader history of astronomy itself. Big questions rarely resolve quickly. They resolve gradually, through repeated observation and patient collaboration over time. There is no reason to expect this particular question will be any different. It will likely be answered, eventually, the same unhurried way most sky mysteries are. There is a particular kind of comfort in trusting a slow, careful process like this one. Not every mystery needs to be solved immediately, or even within our own lifetime. Some questions are simply handed forward, carefully, from one generation of careful observers to the next. That is not a failure of science. It is simply how genuinely difficult questions are properly answered. With patience, with humility, and with a willingness to admit what remains unknown for now. There is something worth noticing about how the brain interprets the night sky. Human vision evolved to detect patterns quickly, especially in low light. This skill helped our ancestors notice danger in the dark. But it also means we sometimes see patterns that are not really there. A cluster of ordinary stars can seem to form a deliberate shape. A random flicker of light can feel like it is moving with purpose. Psychologists call part of this tendency pareidolia, the mind's habit of finding familiar shapes in randomness. It is the same reason people see faces in clouds or shapes in shadows. This is not a flaw in how we think. It is simply how a pattern-seeking brain naturally behaves. Combined with darkness, distance, and unfamiliar lighting, our perception can shift easily. A distant plane's blinking lights can seem to pause or hover. A planet near the horizon can appear to pulse with unusual color. None of this means our senses are broken. It simply means the night sky is an unusually challenging environment to judge accurately. Distance is difficult to estimate in the dark. Motion can be misjudged when there is no clear reference point nearby. Understanding this does not make the sky less wonderful. If anything, it adds another quiet layer of fascination. Not just what is actually happening far above us, but how our own minds gently shape, and sometimes reshape, what we believe we saw. Two mysteries at once, working together, every single time we glance upward into the dark. Researchers studying eyewitness memory have found something particularly interesting. Stress and surprise can noticeably distort how an event is later recalled. A witness might genuinely believe an object changed speed suddenly. Careful video analysis, when available, sometimes reveals a much simpler, steady motion instead. This does not mean witnesses are lying or acting in bad faith. It simply means human memory is reconstructive, rather than a perfect recording. Every time we recall an event, our brain rebuilds it, slightly differently. Small details shift. Emotions color the memory further, especially under conditions of fear or excitement. None of this diminishes the value of careful, honest reporting. It simply means investigators must treat memory as one piece of evidence among several. Combined with radar data, video footage, and multiple independent witnesses, when available, science becomes more reliable exactly when it accounts for these very human limitations, rather than dismissing them or pretending they do not exist at all. In this way, understanding our own minds becomes part of understanding the sky itself. Two puzzles, side by side, each one worth patient, careful attention. Interestingly, the same pattern-seeking tendency also helped ancient astronomers, in a positive way. By noticing repeating patterns among the stars, they built the first constellations, groups of stars, connected by imagination, into shapes representing animals, heroes, and stories. These patterns are not physically real in any scientific sense. The stars within a single constellation are often vastly different distances from Earth, and yet, these imagined shapes served a genuinely useful purpose for centuries. They help people memorize the sky and navigate by it reliably. Sometimes, the mind's tendency to see patterns, even where none technically exist, still leads somewhere useful. It becomes a tool for memory and storytelling and shared cultural understanding. Not every trick of perception is a flaw to overcome. Some of them, like our constellations, became genuinely valuable gifts instead. As we come gently toward the end of our time together tonight, let us sit with one final thought. Every generation has stood beneath this same sky and wondered. Ancient sailors, medieval farmers, modern scientists with satellites and government files. All of them, looking upward, searching for meaning in the same scattered points of light. Most of what troubled our ancestors has since been explained. Meteors, auroras, reflected sunlight from distant satellites. And yet, a small amount of genuine mystery still remains, even today. That balance feels important to notice. A universe patient enough to be understood, piece by piece, over centuries, and humble enough to still hold a few quiet secrets in reserve. There is no need to resolve that tension tonight. You do not need to decide what every light in the sky truly is. You are allowed simply to notice it, the way people always have, with curiosity rather than certainty, with calm rather than urgency. The sky does not ask you to solve it before you rest. It only asks that you notice it, gently, and then let your eyes close. Let your thoughts settle the way starlight settles quietly into the dark. Let go of needing an answer right now. There will always be another night to wonder further. For tonight, it is simply enough to have looked up and felt small and calm beneath something vast and old and endlessly patient. Think of everyone else, right now, who might also be looking upward tonight. Somewhere, a curious child is pointing at a bright, steady star. Somewhere, an astronomer is quietly recording new data through a careful telescope. Somewhere, a tired traveler is glancing up briefly before continuing on their way. All of them connected loosely by the same simple shared act. Looking upward towards something larger than any single person could ever fully hold. You are part of that same quiet tradition tonight, even resting here, indoors. The sky above your own roof is the very same sky above everyone else. Continuous, unbroken, stretching gently across the entire curve of the planet. There is a comfort in that connection, even without needing to see it directly tonight. You do not have to step outside to feel part of something this old. You only need to remember it is there, patiently continuing, exactly as it always has. Let that thought settle gently into your chest now, rising and falling with each breath. Somewhere above the clouds tonight, if there are any, the stars continue shining regardless. Somewhere beyond even the stars, the same quiet, patient physics continues unfolding exactly as it should. None of it requires supervision. None of it requires anyone staying awake to keep it running smoothly. The sky has always managed perfectly well without anyone watching every single moment. Tonight is no exception to that gentle, reliable rule. You are free, completely, to close your eyes and let the sky continue without you. There is a particular kind of trust required to rest this fully. Trust that the world keeps turning, gently, without needing your constant attention. Trust that tomorrow's sky will still hold its same quiet mysteries, waiting patiently. Trust that whatever remains unexplained tonight will still be there, unresolved, whenever you return to it. None of it requires urgency. None of it requires solving before sleep finally arrives. You can release all of it now, the way a hand slowly opens, letting something go. Let your shoulders soften completely. Let your breathing settle into its own natural, unhurried rhythm. As we slowly return now from the meteors and the satellites and the quiet glowing clouds high above the storms, let everything we explored tonight settle gently into your mind. We began with strange lights and found simple, patient explanations for most of them. Meteors burning quietly in the upper atmosphere, satellites drifting in careful formation, catching sunlight at just the right angle, auroras created by our own sun, gently touching our atmosphere from millions of miles away. We considered clouds that glow long after sunset, and clouds shaped like quiet, motionless disks. We thought about the small number of sightings that remain genuinely unexplained, and how that uncertainty is not something to fear. And we considered our own minds, quietly shaping what we believe we see in the challenging darkness of night. Through all of it, one idea remained close. Wonder does not require an answer. Curiosity does not need to be resolved before you rest. You can hold a question gently, without needing to solve it tonight. There is nothing more you need to figure out right now. Let the sky continue its quiet work above you, exactly as it always has. Let whatever thoughts remain from today drift softly away, the same way a meteor fades into darkness. And let yourself sink deeper into a slow, unhurried rest of your own, beneath a sky that has always kept its own patient, private secrets. Somewhere far above you tonight, that sky continues its quiet, ordinary work. A meteor may be burning silently, unnoticed by anyone. A satellite may be gliding smoothly along its careful, predictable path. A distant storm may be sending faint light upward into the darkness of space itself. None of it requires your attention right now. None of it is waiting for you to understand it completely. It simply continues, exactly as it always has, whether anyone below is watching or not. That thought alone can be deeply calming. The universe does not need your vigilance to keep functioning smoothly. It carries on gently, reliably, night after night, regardless of who happens to be resting below. You are allowed, completely, to let go of watching it for tonight. To simply trust that it will still be there tomorrow, exactly as patient as before. Somewhere, right now, an astronomer may be quietly recording new data through a careful telescope. Somewhere, a pilot may be catching a brief glimpse of a sprite above a distant storm. Somewhere, a family may be standing outside together, waiting for the space station to pass overhead. All of these small moments are happening simultaneously, scattered gently across the same night. None of them require your involvement or your attention to continue unfolding. They simply happen quietly, the way they always have, night after night, across the world. You are allowed to rest completely, knowing all of this continues without you. The sky does not need a witness to remain beautiful or worth exploring further tomorrow. It has always continued this way, quietly, whether anyone happened to be watching or not. long before telescopes, long before cameras, long before satellites orbited silently overhead. The stars simply burned, the meteors simply fell, and the aurora simply shimmered, unseen by anyone. That fact does not make any of it less remarkable tonight. If anything, it makes it more comforting. Some things in this world do not require an audience to remain genuinely worthwhile. If you are still here with us, another quiet journey is waiting for you soon. And if tonight's journey helped carry you closer to sleep, a like, a subscribe, or a gentle comment helps other tired minds find their way here too. There is nothing left to think about tonight. There is nothing left to solve, or explain, or worry over. Just this quiet room, this soft darkness, and the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing. Somewhere above you, invisible in the darkness, the same ancient sky continues its quiet work. Meteors burning silently, satellites drifting in patient formation, auroras waiting for the next solar wind to arrive. None of it needs your attention right now. You are allowed to simply rest beneath a sky that has always kept humanity gentle company. Let your body remain heavy and warm and still. Let your thoughts continue to soften and fade and drift apart, like a slow meteor disappearing into the dark. Whatever tomorrow holds, it can wait. For now, there is only this room, this breath, and the quiet, patient sky above you. The same sky that has watched over every question ever asked, and every sleeper who ever drifted off beneath it. Think back, for just a moment, to where this journey began tonight, with strange lights and simple, patient explanations, gathered gently one by one. You do not need to remember every detail we explored together. You only need to carry with you the same quiet curiosity that guided us. A willingness to look upward and wonder, without needing every answer right away. There is nothing left to identify tonight. There is nothing left to explain, or resolve, or investigate further. The meteors will keep burning whether you think of them or not. The satellites will keep drifting along their same careful, patient paths. All that is asked of you, right now, is simply to rest, exactly as you are. Let this be enough for tonight. Let the quiet weight of everything we explored together, the meteors, the satellites, the shifting curtains of aurora light, settle gently around you now, asking nothing more of you than simple, patient rest. Exactly as you are, exactly where you are, right here, right now, somewhere. A meteor is quietly burning out, far above a sleeping city. Somewhere, a satellite drifts steadily along its patient, careful path, unseen by anyone below. Somewhere, the aurora waits quietly for the next gentle breath of solar wind to arrive. None of it needs you awake to keep happening. None of it needs your understanding to keep being true. The sky continues patiently, exactly as it always has, long before you and long after tonight. You are simply allowed completely to close your eyes now and let it continue without you. Let the last of today's thoughts fade quietly, the way a distant star fades near dawn. Let your breathing slow, gently, into the same unhurried rhythm the whole sky seems to share. There is nothing left to notice, nothing left to wonder about, right now. Only rest, waiting patiently, exactly like the sky above you. From the sleep journal, and from one tired mind to another, across the soft, patient dark of tonight. Sleep well, rest gently, and good night.